So it's been almost 2 weeks since we took our last video in the garden, and just because, I keep planning on setting up the camera and showing you projects or what we're doing in the garden, and as always, we're running out of time and trying to get things done, and at one point I couldn't find my camera, so we didn't get all the video that we wanted to get. But today we're going to go out and do a quick tour and just kind of show you where stuff is at now at I say week 2, but it's our second video, so it's much later into the season than week 2, of course, so hopefully you'll follow along. And we'll go take a look at the garden now. I'll show you the progress. The plants have grown quite a bit since last time. It's only been let's see, I guess it's been 12 days since I took the last video. So our zucchini is huge. The plants themselves, I mean, they're growing out of a box, but they come up to my chest in some areas. And got 3 zucchini coming in right there. We've already picked 5 or 6 zucchini so far. Haven't done anything else with the grape area because of working on the coop. I haven't done a whole lot out here in the garden. Our orange jing okra has taken off with the couple of rains that we've had and some watering. It is just huge compared to 2 weeks ago. And we already have, if I can find some in here. Of course, when I try to show you on the video, I can't see any. Let's try the other side. Here's some little, look, these big ass leaves out of the way. There's a little one right there coming in. You can see back in there. Got little okras coming in around here. And there's plenty more in there. It's just hard to find them underneath of all these leaves. Here's our lemon squash and our kombucha squash. Guess I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's completely taken over the side of the bed and has already grown up the trellis. Our volunteer bean just kept going past the trellis, still going. So we'll see what that ends up being. I think that actually might be the Belita bean, because if it is from the ones from last year, I think that's the only true pole bean that we had, because the green beans and the purple beans that I planted, I think were all bush variety. Back here is the loofah, which 2 weeks ago I was getting ready to rip out because it looked like it was completely dead, and now it's taken back off again. After I weed whacked and took most of the weeds out around it, it got a second wind. So we'll see what happens with that. It's way behind where it should be though, so we'll see. This little sunflower got knocked over somehow at some point, and I was getting ready to tear it out, but I never got around to it. So you can see where it bent there. But look, it's still growing. It's actually bent back up again on this side, and it's still sprouting new leaves and trying to head towards the sun. So I'm surprised a rabbit or something hasn't come along and eaten the leaves, but they've left it alone when they have been out here. So who knows, maybe we'll actually get a sunflower kind of on the ground out of that one. All of our tomatoes are coming in. Got a bunch in here. This is on that subarctic variety that I had talked about on the last video. But this bed is so full, and they're also growing up the trellis. I really packed this bed too full, and I'm definitely going to do things differently next year. Give them more space to grow so they've got more room and more airflow. And I've got to keep up more with keeping them trimmed, because I did it for like the first week and then I just didn't get back out here to do it. And so we got all these, like this normally would have been a section that should have been pinched off when it was tiny, there in the elbow or whatever you call it. You can see here there's That right there is one that I pinched off originally. And there's another little one in there. But in places where I didn't, you know, they just sprouted whole new branches, and it gets really full. So hopefully they'll do okay and not run into too many issues with fungus or whatever. Another problem that we had was on this blueberry variety, the one branch was really heavy and fell over and ripped. So I took that out last night, but this was just from last night and it's already healed over. It still has some more healing to do, but it's looking pretty good. So hopefully that survives okay. This volunteer sunflower, well, it started out as a volunteer sunflower that I then transplanted in this box, but it's pretty big. And it's starting to get some flower blossoms up on top, so I think it's going to be blooming here this week. Greasy grip beans. Remember last video, just 2 weeks ago, they were only down here at the second little rung of the trellis, and now they have started up, so we're up about this high. Still have a ways to go to get over the top, but both sides are growing up nicely, so I'm happy about that. Can't wait till the whole thing is covered. Eggplant are doing well. They've gotten huge. Some of them have some flowers on them. Oh, well, that's already, I think, starting into an eggplant. That was a purple flower yesterday. So, but they've really grown up. Peppers are all doing well. The Ring of Fire peppers have got all kinds of little peppers on them that are coming in. They're kind of crazy, tangled looking things. So we'll see what ends up happening with those. The red Marconi, you know, they got peppers coming in here. There's a really big one back here. Check this out. Look at that bad boy. So, this one, I don't know what it is. Not really sure. That's the one that didn't have the marker, but it's got peppers on it. And then the paprika pepper plant has got a couple peppers on it. Another volunteer sunflower. This one is growing out of the ground, and it's probably about 10 feet tall at this point. 9 feet, pretty close. It's grown up past the trellis that's behind it. So, and then down here is the lemon yellow jalapenos, and I just counted tonight. There's a couple of them right here. They haven't started turning color yet, but there is, on these two little plants that are kind of buried back here, there's a tomato plant growing over the top of them. The poblanos behind them are overshadowing them. They're a shorter plant, but they have 20 jalapenos growing on them so far. And the Gajari melons have started taking off too. They're starting up the trellis a little bit. These are ones that I have to keep after because they kind of tend to go wherever the hell they want to. So I got to keep working with them to get them going up the trellis here. Same thing with over here. And actually these, can you see in there? Got a little blossom going on. So that's kind of exciting that we got a blossom already. These were the peppers that were struggling. That one still is. I don't know what the hell's the matter with that one. It's got having some issues. It's looking sad. But the other two are doing okay. And then remember I had this big open area in here. I did put in 2 basil plants, and they've been doing well. They've been in here for a little over a week. Mitzi just picked those up in the organic section at Lowe's for me. They were already in pots, so I didn't put in the seeds I was planning to put in. I still have time to put in some radish in here, so I'm hoping to still get to that if I can work more on the garden and sit on the coop if I ever get the chicken run done. And then, you know, of course, the more beans down here. Oh, something did get into our beans over here. You see, something has trimmed off a bunch of the leaves. So I don't know if the groundhog came back, but there was 5 or 6 leaves that have all been eaten off the top, but he didn't do too much damage. But it must have been some kind of animal, because Oliver came out here last night, our one of our Cavaliers, and was sniffing all around this box or this bed. And I left the garden for a few minutes. I came back and he was up in here. Somehow it jumped up in there and was in the eggplants, like snarfing around. It's too bad I didn't get it on video, but I got him out of there before he did any damage. And then the tomatoes down this side, they've definitely started doing some good growth compared to the little skinny things that they were before. They're filling out. Some have... See, we have any tomatoes over here? It might just be all blossoms on this side, because these are... Oh, there are tomatoes here. There's a couple right in here. And right there, that's some of that Berkeley tie-dye variety. And then the beefsteaks down here are really filling out well. Our other volunteer sunflower, which is a shorter variety, only had 1 flower on it 2 weeks ago, and now it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 flowers, and there's more blossoms starting. So it's doing well, just hanging out here by itself. I've done nothing with it. I don't even think I've watered it. I've just kind of let it deal with nature. So it's working. Still didn't get the quinoa in. The weeds I pulled grew back. So I don't know what we're going to end up doing there. We'll get there eventually. Over here, the nasturtiums that I planted are starting to vine out. Mitzi did some weeding in here today, and so they've kind of fallen over a little bit, but they're looking pretty healthy. Cilantro is slowly but surely popping up. And the cucumbers have really taken off. Growing up the trellis, filling out the bed. So it won't be long before we get blossoms on those for sure. And then, remember how tiny the cucamelons were? Look at them now. They're filling out this bed. They got vines going all over, and they've made a good start up the trellis. So I think that they will do well filling this whole trellis up by the end of the summer. And we'll probably have more cucamelons than we know what to do with. And then, I don't remember if I showed you on the last video, our elderberries that we put back here have done really well. These were bare root, and we planted one here and one over there, and they'll get to be about 6 to 8 feet tall, I think, by the time they're all done. So eventually, probably not this year, but eventually we should get some elderberries to make some elderberries syrup. I almost said elderberry soup. So that's kind of the quick update of the garden, the overview. We moved the pool over here because it was just really looking bad over there. So not that it looks that much better over here, but it's on less of a slope, so it's not so sunken in or sunken down on one side. So there it is, the garden. If you have any questions for us about things that we're doing with the growing, I know I kind of run through this and just kind of showing you the growth of the plants, and I haven't gone into any major details yet of what we've done, but we can my plan is to do some videos on that as well, to maybe do some focus on different plant varieties and the different fertilizers that we're using, which are all organic. I say different fertilizers. This year it's only been bunny poop and some composted horse manure. In the past I have used crab shells, liquid seaweed, I think it was, like a seaweed emulsion, and those seem to do well too, but no need to buy stuff when you've got a rabbit that can provide you with pretty much everything you need for fertilizer. So hope you all are doing well at your homesteads and gardens, and thanks for stopping by and checking out our video. Have a good day. Namaste. Got some Ring of Fire peppers here coming in. They're like little boots. I don't know that much about these peppers. I think they turn red. I actually need to look them up, and I'm not sure how hot they are, but normally when you see peppers that look like this, my first thought is they're going to be hot. So what I'm hoping to do is to be able to dry them and make pepper flakes like I did last year out of the Thai chilies. Although Thai chilies, at least the type that I had last year, were pretty mild. I mean, they had a little bit of heat to them, but once they were dried and ground up, it was more like a smoky flavor. Man, it was awesome on pizza. So hopefully we get something close to that out of these, but who knows. And then with the red Marconis, these are a much milder pepper, but I think they should work for drying too. So we'll see what happens.